invitation to appear before the Departmental Committee on Agriculture, Livestock, Trade, Industry and Cooperatives and Administration and National Security. The above matter and subject invitation letters whose copies are attached refers. In this invitation, the Departmental Committee seeks the appearance of Cabinet Secretary, Interior and Coordination of National Government to speak on various issues regarding the importation, distribution and sale of suspected dangerous and contraband sugar in the country. The Ministry has already submitted an explanation as to why the CS was unable to attend the session because of his active involvement on the ongoing East Africa Community Heads of States. As we prepare the submission of the committee, okay, that's the other explanation. So you gave an explanation as to why you would not appear. And we made a communication through also a communication from our office that you appear today. And I think that is the reason you are here today. And I want also to give you this opportunity. But before I do that, I want to thank you members. We know we have had a long week. Actually, I want to thank members. Yesterday, there were members who went to Mombasa and came back. Others went to Nakuru and came back. Others went to Ebuye and came back. Thanks so much, members, for your patience and resilience. And I'm also seeking the same indulgence because, as you know, this report is time-bound within 10 days from the day the communication was given. So I want to give this opportunity to the CS to make his submission.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and honorable members. First of all, Mr. Chairman, thank you for your guidance. I want to start, before I make my formal submissions, I want to start by tabling a document to you for the record, and I will just summarize it. Basically, 3 points on the document. The first one, Mr. Chairman, I would like to tender to you personally and to your co-chair and the honorable members of this committee and Parliament an unequivocal and unreserved apology for not coming to Parliament or not coming for the committee at the time that I was expected to. It was unfortunate on our part because the requirement that will come before you, Mr. Chairman, fell at the time when we also had what I may describe as an impossible demand also with the Northern Corridor meetings that were happening in Nairobi on Monday and Tuesday. And we got the invitation from the committee actually late on Friday while we were at the summit of the governors. And we struggled through the weekend to try and make it. I'm grateful, Mr. Chairman, that you have kindly indulged us to come before you this morning. But I wanted, for the record, to sincerely apologize to you personally and to the committee for not getting here early enough on these particular issues, and promise that we will do our best, myself and my colleagues, to be helpful to the committee and to be facilitative of the committee in the investigation that you are doing. Secondly, Mr. Chairman, on that note, I would like to state, and it's in my statement because I thought it would be much more honorable to bring a written explanation of why we did not come to the meeting earlier and the circumstances surrounding the work that we were doing. But that doesn't in any way suggest, Mr. Chairman, with your very kind indulgence again, that our ministry has a policy of not going before Parliament. As a matter of fact, Mr. Chairman, personally, this is my 6th year in Cabinet. I have been before parliamentary committees a record over 50 times. And before my own departmental committee, since I was appointed to Interior, I have appeared 5 times. And I have another scheduled appearance next week on this same issue and this same investigation. And my colleague, the PSS, and myself answer queries and deal with nearly 20 members of Parliament almost every week. So we are dutiful and responsible public servants. We understand the importance of engaging with Parliament. It is our duty, really, as it were. So an erroneous impression may have been created that we did not want to appear before Parliament. Of course, Mr. Chairman, the issues we are dealing with have a certain level of sensitivities, and because you are leaders and you are also interested in our country, when it gets to issues that are difficult, we will be candid and honest with you and tell you why we can't go past certain issues. And of course, we will be forthcoming where there is no reason to withhold any information, as it were. But I wanted to place it on record, Mr. Chairman, honorable members, that we are sincere and dutiful public servants who are sorry that we did not get here as early as we expected us. Our schedule on Monday and Tuesday was very difficult. You know the security issues that we are dealing with our borders, Mr. Chairman.
Our witness today, I didn't want to interrupt, but I think your apology is well received by the chair. You can now proceed to the main issues. Yes, what was the point of order, Honorable Asheri?
Thank you, Chair. And Chair, besides being a friend of this committee, I'm also chief of the National Assembly. Chair, we are what we are because of this constitution. We are what we are. The CS is the CS because of this constitution. We are members of parliament because of this constitution. And if the CS has forgotten, I want to just remind him.
What is the point of order?
Yeah, the point of order is that the CS has explained the duties he was engaged in, and that's why he did not come for this joint meeting. But I want to put it to him that it's not only this joint meeting that he has failed to come. Before,
Chair,
just a minute.
Honorable, respectively, Honorable Washeri. Chair, I want
no need for him to premier to the meeting. Let us proceed on.
Is a committee on trade, industry, importation. And I will not allow, and especially diversionary things by friends of the committee. Please, let me also make it very, very clear that I will not entertain any engagement between you or any member with the please don't support me. Chairman. Don't support me, and I don't want anybody to support me on this. I am not going to allow any engagement between members directly with our witness for us to have order. And you know you have conducted these meetings in a very, very orderly manner. Please, Chairman, if you are speaking on a point of order, please quote which particular order, and then we move on. Because you know Chairman. We have a whole list of things that we need to do today.
Chairman, you would have
and members. Nothing like shouting. Please, the chair will give you that opportunity to speak on mic. And I'll be very fair. I have been very fair, Chairman, and I'll be fair.
I was concluding, Chair.
So what's the point of order?
Chairman, when we had the CS Treasury, Henry Matiang'i, when he came to the House, Henry Rotich, when he came to the House to read the budget speech, you remember, under statements, Chair, and I was representing the majority leader in Parliament, and C.S. Matiang'i was present. We had requested as Parliament that C.S. Matiang'i should appear in this chamber to respond to answers, questions made by members of Parliament. Therefore, Chairman, as the CS apologizes to this committee, he should also be telling us why he did not respond
Chair.
to the main to the earlier request by Parliament.
Please, members, I am chairing this meeting, and I know I am capable of chairing this meeting. So, Honorable Asheri, if I were you, my good friend Honorable Asheri, I would let him also explain You know, the reason we have invited him today is to shed light on the question that we put to him. If he is unable to answer, then you will be at liberty to ask those other questions. But before, since he has appeared, we did not summon him. And you remember here, we say that it is not a summon that we are issuing because it comes with consequences. I say it is an invitation. We have invited him. He has presented himself. He actually came earlier than most of us. And he has offered, an apology. Yeah. He has said why we couldn't. We were all here. We saw what was happening with the heads of state. I think the best thing that we should do is to let him answer the questions, because basically it is not the question of not coming. It is the question of answering the question that we have put forward to him.
Chairman, you are protecting Chairman.
I'm not.
This is a process of parliament.
You have said it. Let's move on. Proceed. Let's proceed.
I want to repeat again. I won't allow friends of the committee.
Proceed.
Everybody else is out of order. Proceed.
Chairman, point of order. Point of order, Chair. Point of order. Is Chair, a point of order is allowed. Chairman, point of order.
But we all have
Chairman.
orders. If it's point of order.
Chairman, I want to just, you indulge me in one thing. For the CS, as he's starting, Chair, for him to tell us and clear if indeed he has any conflict of interest, in what discussion we are going to have. In terms of Chair, if him himself, his family, are involved in this discussion of the sugar crisis, Chair, that's a requirement in the law that anybody, it's there, Chair. Number two, Chair, on the same, I would want him to clarify to us, because, Chair, it's important for us to have a clean slate as we're starting, that what we are seeing, if indeed, because we have seen also the leader of majority in the Senate saying it clearly, and we don't take it lightly, that the CS is fighting the deputy president on this particular item.
No,
Can you tell us?
You are putting us into an...
No.
How do we discuss now? How are we going to discuss? But how can you now discuss deputy president? Are you... is this what...
declaring the interest? Whether you have the interest or
No, it's important, Chair, for us to clear the ground.
The first question was relevant.
Okay.
But the second one about deputy president, this is not something to bring here.
Our witness.
Let him declare interest.
Mr. Chairman, thank
Second
you very
question
much
is
for
irrelevant.
your guidance. As I was saying, I think just to part or to leave that subject, again, thank you for accepting our apology. Mr. Chairman, again, in the normal order of parliamentary business, I will table my written statement for the record of the House and my apology for the record of the House.
Thank you.
Secondly,
Tepo, do you have copies?
Yes.
Please table that for record, and also for the members also to have a copy.
Yes. Secondly, Mr. Chairman, now...
How many copies do you have? You don't...
I have one.
Okay, you only have one. Okay. Yeah, so members, seeking your indulgence as we do the copies, but he has already tabled.
Secondly, Mr. Chairman, I will now proceed to respond to the specific issues that were raised with us in the letter.
No.
Written to us.
Point of order, Chair.
First question.
No, it's on a point of order, Chair. Can he declare first the interest, if indeed it's any? Yes.
It's there in our standing orders together with members of parliament, and I also require the same of the members of parliament who are here. If they have any interest in this matter, you have to declare there is no question about it. It is there in the standing orders. The members also have to declare their interest. So that one is carried. You can also answer that question from Sibarati so that we can make progress.
Members should also declare.
In the same case, we also happen to the colleagues that we have here.
Yes. We should... Arati should also declare.
Whether you have any interest in this sugar business, it is a question of yes or no. That's an answer of yes or no, and then move on.
Mr. Chairman, I have no interest, and I don't know anyone in my family who has a direct or indirect interest.
Absolutely. Let's proceed.
Arati.
Thank you.
Arati should also declare.
Please don't.
What interest do you have in
And especially the ones who have just come in late. Please, you have to do it through the chair.
All right.
Yeah, proceed.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman, honorable members. I'll go briefly to the responses to the questions that you sent to us. And at the end of this presentation, Mr. Chairman, I will seek the indulgence of the committee that I table several documents that I think are not harmful to, the security investigations going on, and some that you will need as you prepare for the report in this
If you can table them now, or if you have 2 copies, it will be far much better for us.
One of the documents, Mr. Chairman, is my reference document that I'm using, and it's too detailed and too big to produce.
Okay. I think members, you can proceed. Okay, please, and members, just note the issues. Once he is through, then I will give each and every person an opportunity to interrogate our witness.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To briefly and precisely respond to the questions that you asked, one on reported contraband sugar and health concerns. First of all, for us, Mr. Chairman, with your permission, for us in the security sector, we provide service to the regulatory institutions. The regulatory institutions that deal with contraband, goods, importation, and so on are the Kenya Bureau of Standards, the Kenya Revenue Authority, and the Anti-Counterfeit Authority. When they request us to back the work they do, we support them. And for the last 2 or 3 weeks, we have been supporting these agencies in looking at the phenomenon of contraband goods in the country. And this support has been going through the multi-agency task team that was set up by the President, headed by Mr. Wanyama Musiambu, the Deputy Head of Public Service. And one significant feature of that drive has been to net contraband sugar. And I need to explain that contraband sugar has been only one of the commodities that have been netted in the process. Mr. Chairman, I think for the reference of the committee when we are done with this, I'm going to table a document that is over 100 pages that gives a very annotated and detailed report of the goods that have been seized in that process, including the contraband goods that we are going to destroy next week, worth about 1.2 billion. And in the process of this, Mr. Chairman, the police, backing the regulatory agencies, have seized 1.4 million bags of sugar, 1,484 bags of rice, 87,000 bags of fertilizer, 90 cartons of assorted liquor, and we have since, and the other question you asked is whether we have made an arrest. Mr. Chairman, we have made 72 arrests so far since the exercise began. We have a very delicate process of investigation going on this issue, and at that point, I would beg the indulgence of the committee to understand that honorable members, Mr. Chairman, we're dealing with a very complex international criminal investigation that straddles the borders of our country, and at this stage, if you kindly indulge us, it will not be good to disclose more details about the 72 arrests we have made, because the profiling and further detailed investigation is going on by the security sector agencies, and we are collaborating with a huge number of institutions, local and international, in doing this, so that we can gather sufficient information on what we need to do. Mr. Chairman, I would like to say again, we are members of Interpol. Some of this work we are doing has got to respect the NDAs that we have signed with other agencies, so that we cannot disclose that information. The question number 3 was the companies involved and the directors or the proprietors of the companies. Mr. Chairman, we as the Ministry of Interior do not have a record of any companies or a record of any directors. When we begin investigations on institutions and agencies that are involved, then of course we are forced by law and process to go behind the companies and discover who is involved. We are investigating certain institutions, and again, with your kind indulgence, Mr. Chairman, honorable members, it will be prejudicial to that process to disclose which ones they are and where we are going to with that investigation. But the registration of companies is done by different entities in government. The import permits and licenses are given by different departments in government. They are the ones who would have the record on, all the companies that are involved in this process. But we have been backing the drive against contraband goods across. Lastly, Mr. Chairman, you required us to respond to or to raise any other relevant information on this issue. There are several things we could say on this matter. And at this particular stage, I will ask your permission to do two things. There's some information I would like to share with this committee very candidly, especially if you decide, Mr. Chairman, to listen to it in camera, which I can't discuss in open forums such as this. But being an investigation that is going on, you have seen even this morning from the press about a ship we are chasing, that is evading our waters for reasons that we know. It is not actually appropriate to disclose that information at the moment. On the specific issue of the sugar, Mr. Chairman, it is true that a window of opportunity was given, which is lawful, for sugar to be imported into the country. We have noted through the work that is being done by these three regulatory institutions and the security backup that we are giving, that some of the sugar is contaminated. And a lot of investigations have been done. I was briefed by the DCI and the police team that is working on this. Detailed reports are available on this contamination. And it is true that some of the sugar that has come into the country is actually contaminated. This is one issue we are all agreed, even with my colleagues in government. I will share.
Cabinet Secretary Dr. Fred Matiang'i there before the Parliamentary Committee to shed light on the importation and distribution of illicit sugar in the country. We understand that currently at Gikomba there's a pressure on the ongoing